You know the feeling. You fall asleep just fine. The house is completely quiet, you're dead to the world, and then, boom, your eyes snap open. You roll over, look at the clock, and it is exactly 3 a.m. Again, it's a universal, incredibly frustrating experience, right? You try to force yourself back to sleep, doing that awful mental math of how exhausted you're going to be tomorrow, which, of course, only makes you more awake. But what if I told you that this isn't just some random bad luck? Today, we're diving into a highly practical, science-backed toolkit to finally decode your body's biological timing and fix your sleep for good.
Welcome to This Explainer. I am thrilled you're here because we are going to completely demystify the biology of your rest. You see, sleep isn't just some simple on-off switch in your brain. It's a highly structured, genetic, and chemical system. And the best part? Once you understand the specific levers to pull, you can fundamentally change how you perform, how you feel, and how you recover. All right, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the biology of sleep, move right into discovering your specific sleep chronotype, establish the substance rules for rest, uncover the truth about supplements, and finally, equip you with the ultimate 3 a.m. survival guide. Let's get right into it.
Starting off with Section 1, the biology of sleep. 2 systems, 1 goal.
To really fix your sleep, you first have to grasp that your rest is governed by 2 completely distinct biological systems that work together in tandem. Think of it kind of like this. Your sleep drive is physical, and your sleep rhythm is chemical. Sleep drive is essentially your body's hunger for sleep. The longer you're awake, your cells burn energy and produce this byproduct called adenosine. As that adenosine builds up in your brain throughout the day, it docks into specific receptors, and you get sleepier and sleepier. Sleep rhythm, on the other hand, well, that's your internal circadian clock. This dictates your timing based on hormones, like melatonin, which tells your brain, hey, it's time for bed, and cortisol, which wakes you up. When your drive is high and your rhythm is dialed in, you sleep beautifully. If either one is off, yeah, you're tossing and turning all night.
Now, knowing how that adenosine buildup works actually unlocks a fascinating little hack for those days when you're just incredibly sleep deprived. It's called the Napa Latte protocol. Get this. Caffeine and adenosine are off by just one single molecule in their structure. So if you need a rapid reboot, you drink a cup of black drip coffee, cool down with a few ice cubes, and immediately take a 25-minute nap. During that quick nap, your brain actively clears out the built-up adenosine. By the time your alarm goes off, the caffeine has digested and perfectly docks into those now empty receptors, essentially blocking any new adenosine from getting in. You wake up completely energized and you're good to go for a guaranteed 4 hours.
But listen, caffeine timing isn't a one-size-fits-all thing, which brings us to Section 2. Discover your sleep chronotype, your genetic sleep code. So your chronotype is actually a genetic sleep code hardwired right into your DNA. Specifically, it's found in the PER3 gene. It's amazing how neatly we all fall into 4 distinct categories here. First up, you have the lions. That's about 10 to 15% of the population. These are your classic early birds, up at 5 a.m., hitting their absolute peak productivity between 9:30 and 11:30 in the morning. Then you've got the bears, which is about half of everybody. They naturally follow the sun, operating beautifully on a standard 9 to 5 schedule, peaking right around noon to 2 p.m. Then there are the wolves. These are the night owls, the creatives, the risk takers. They absolutely despise mornings and often do their best, most brilliant thinking at 2 a.m. And finally, the dolphins. These are highly intelligent, sometimes slightly anxious, light sleepers who crave a long night's rest, but biologically just don't build up a high sleep drive, which unfortunately makes them super prone to insomnia. So why does all this matter? Because syncing your daily schedule to your specific chronotype is a total game changer. The source data shows that your ability to grasp complex concepts drastically improves when you actually align your tasks with your biological clock. It dictates the perfect time to tackle hard work, when you should hit the gym, and literally even the optimal time for intimacy, which, by the way, requires high testosterone, estrogen, adrenaline, and cortisol, but low melatonin. If you're trying to perform when your biology is fighting against you, you're just losing the game before it even starts. Moving right along to Section 3, Substance Rules for Rest. Stop sabotaging your biology. Let's talk about how we routinely misuse caffeine and alcohol, starting with a rule that, well, it might actually hurt a little to hear. 90 minutes. You really need to wait a full 90 minutes after waking up before you drink that first cup of coffee. Think about it. When you first wake up, your brain is already flooded with cortisol and adrenaline just to pull you out of unconsciousness. Chugging caffeine immediately is like adding weak tea to a powerful stimulant. It barely does anything. But if you wait just 90 minutes, your natural cortisol levels start to drop. That is exactly when you strike with caffeine. It gives you a massive, sustained boost and completely prevents that aggressive, soul-crushing midday crash. Hydrate first, caffeinate later.
Now, the danger of the nighttime equivalent, the classic nightcap, is honestly just as severe. Alcohol presents this really tricky illusion. It feels like this great stress reliever that knocks you out and helps you fall asleep quickly. But the biological reality behind the scenes is kind of terrifying. Alcohol completely destroys stage 3 and stage 4 deep sleep. And here's the kicker. During stage 4 sleep, your brain's glymphatic system literally sweeps through and scoops out all these toxic proteins. When those proteins accumulate, instead of being cleared out, they wrap around your nerves, creating a direct biological pathway to Alzheimer's disease. So by drinking right before bed, you are literally shutting down your brain's most critical self-cleaning mechanism. Look, we're human. If you are going to enjoy a drink, you just need to follow a biological playbook. Rule 1. Stop drinking alcohol completely 3 hours before you go to bed. This just gives your body the necessary time to digest it and clear it from your system. Rule 2. Alternate every single alcoholic drink with a glass of water to process it, and keep your heart rate low. And Rule 3. At the end of the night, drink a glass of coconut water. Alcohol totally strips your body of essential minerals like zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B. Coconut water is naturally loaded with all the whole shebang, perfectly setting you up for recovery. Okay, let's jump into Section 4, the truth about supplements, melatonin myths, and natural fixes. People absolutely love trying to cheat a bad routine with a pill. So let's clear the air right now, starting with the giant elephant in the room, melatonin. So many of us just pop over-the-counter melatonin thinking it's this harmless, natural sleep initiator. It's not. It is a hormone that regulates rhythm, and taking it comes with some massive, silent interactions. Melatonin can negatively interact with SSRI antidepressants, birth control, blood pressure medications, and diabetes meds. And honestly, it gets worse. Because it's largely unregulated as a commercial supplement, studies on those gummies you buy at the store have found they can contain anywhere from absolutely 0% to over 600% of the melatonin actually listed on the label. Taking those high unregulated doses is actually the leading cause of vivid, exhausting nightmares. So, instead of blindly popping synthetic hormones, look to natural deficiencies first, primarily magnesium, which is what actually helps your muscles relax. There's a fascinating natural fix highlighted in our source material called banana tea. I know, it sounds a little out there, but stay with me. You cut the ends off a banana, leave the peel completely on, cut it in half, and just drop it into boiling water for 5 minutes. The banana peel itself is loaded with phytosteroids that actually help your body absorb the rich magnesium from the fruit, way better than most synthetic supplement pills. You just drink the water about 30 minutes before bed as a completely natural relaxant. But listen, what if you're avoiding melatonin, you're doing the routines, and you're still waking up utterly exhausted? Well, you might be part of a staggering hidden statistic. 1 in 7 adults worldwide have sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is a serious condition where your airway collapses and you physically stop breathing, sometimes dozens of times an hour. But here is the truly terrifying part. 80 to 90% of those cases remain completely undiagnosed. People just shrug it off, thinking they're just bad sleepers or their partners complain about some heavy snoring. But every single time you stop breathing, your brain panics and wakes you up, completely pulling you out of that vital deep sleep we talked about earlier. And untreated apnea is linked to a massive 45% higher risk of developing Alzheimer's. So if you snore heavily or ever wake up gasping for air, getting tested is absolutely non-negotiable.
Finally, the moment we've been waiting for. Section 5, the 3 a.m. survival guide. What to do when you wake up. So why does that frustrating 3 a.m. wake up happen in the first place? Well, between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., your core body temperature naturally spikes, which pulls almost everyone out of deep sleep. If you get stuck awake during this spike, here is your exact 3 a.m. survival playbook. And honestly, it is entirely counterintuitive. Rule 1. Do not get out of bed to pee unless it is an absolute emergency. To enter a state of unconscious sleep, your heart rate must drop to 60 beats per minute or below. The moment you stand up and start walking, your heart rate naturally spikes. Rule 2. Do not look at the clock. Seriously, no peeking. The absolute second you see the time, you start doing the mental math of how little sleep you have left, which instantly triggers a rush of anger and anxiety. Rule 3. Lie flat, keep the room totally dark, and immediately begin a distraction breathing technique. The whole goal here is getting that heart rate mathematically back down while stopping your brain from racing. The highly recommended technique is called 4-7-8 breathing. Here's how you do it. You breathe in deeply through your nose for 4 seconds, you hold that breath for 7 seconds, and then you exhale forcefully through your mouth for 8 seconds. And you repeat this for 20 cycles. By focusing so hard on the math and the physical holding of the breath, you mathematically force your heart rate down, while simultaneously distracting your brain from those anxious monkey mind thoughts. You literally cannot worry about tomorrow's schedule and count complex breathing intervals at the same time.
And hey, once you do finally drift back off, your brain gets back to doing its most important psychological work, dreaming. Our sources reframe dreams so beautifully here. They aren't just random noise or weird late-night movies. Dreams are your emotional metabolism. Every single night, your brain is holding a private therapy session, actively working through the stress, the trauma, and the complex emotional states you absorb during your waking hours. This is exactly why you can go to bed incredibly stressed out about a problem and wake up with absolute perfect clarity. The clouds part because your brain did the heavy lifting while you slept.
Which leaves us with one massive ultimate takeaway. Your sleep is a highly tuned genetic and chemical machine, and the rules to run it are laid out right in front of us. From using the 90-minute coffee rule, to honoring your genetic chronotype, to protecting your brain's nightly self-cleaning cycle from alcohol. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Take a hard look at your daily habits. Is your routine built to support your biology, or are you spending every single day fighting against it? Apply this toolkit and take your rest back.